This is Cape Chronicle. I'm Jacob McClellan. Wayne Wallingford won the Republican Party primary in August and now runs unopposed to represent Missouri's 27th district in the state Senate. He'll replace Jason Crowell, who's leaving the Senate due to term limits. Wayne Wallingford, thank you so much for coming by to talk with us.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Well, first, moving into the Senate, what are some of your goals for this first year?
Of course, my primary goal is the one that the Constitution says we need to balance the Missouri budget. So that's the one thing we have to do if we do nothing else. But beyond that, job creation is going to be very important to the state of Missouri. We're still in somewhat of a recession, and revenue isn't what we would like it to be. Unemployment's very high, so having job creation in the state of Missouri so we can get more economic development and get more revenue is going to be a major priority.
Let's talk a little bit about health care, and this is a topic that you have quite a bit of experience in the past. You have your master's degree in healthcare administration.
Yes.
Where do you feel with the state? What does the state need to do with regards to the federal Affordable Care Act? Does the state need to separate itself more from that federal law?
Well, I've read the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act, and there's not a lot in there about quality of care or accessibility of care. There's 24 new or increased taxes, $583 billion. There's 100 new commissions, 222 studies, 1,037 reports. You didn't hear anything about quality care. It also talks about if care is available. When I think of the word available, I think of the other side. What if it's not available? And also it talks about eligible. Well, if you're eligible for the care, the other word I think of is ineligible. So there's a lot of mystery in that bill right now, and it's not going to really be what we think it's going to be after you read it. I've lived in many different states and several foreign countries. My wife's a registered nurse. She was a practicing nurse in England. Healthcare is rationed over there. They would run out of money. The same thing's going to happen to us. Up in Canada, another place where they have socialized medicine, you're on waiting lists. And of course, if you get diagnosed with cancer, being on a waiting list isn't very good. So I think we can do better than what's referred to as Obamacare, and I think the states could have a major part in that if we're allowed to.
Now, recently the General Assembly voted to override Governor Jay Nixon's veto on the contraceptive mandate bill.
Yes.
Where did you fall on this one?
Well, I voted for it when we first voted for it, along with 121 other representatives in the Senate. It passed by a majority. It was, I think, 2 people were missing. I think it passed by maybe 32 to no opposed. But then we went up for the veto override, and suddenly you have to, if you're on the Democratic side of the ticket, vote against your leader, which is very difficult to do. So you have to find some brave Democrats to join your side. And of course, not all the Republicans voted for it either. But we were able to override it. We have 163 state representatives. You need 109 to override it. And we're able to pull a few from the other side to override the governor's veto, which I was very happy about.
Now, you mentioned at the beginning of our interview that balancing the budget in Missouri, that's
yes.
That's the big goal. And of course, higher education is a part of that, and higher education funding has shriveled in recent years as the cost of higher education goes up. What do you see the role of higher education funding for when you work into the budget? How does where would you like to see higher education?
It's very important, and when the governor gave his State to the State message, and he talked about how important economic development was and job creation, I thought that was a good speech. But then later on, he said he was going to keep about $109 million from the higher education budget. You can't do that. When I ran for the state representative, people said, well, what's your platform? And I said, economic development and job creation. But don't put the period there. Let me go on and say that we have to have education, both K through 12 and particularly higher education, to go along with that, because we won't get the jobs locating into the state. People won't be hiring because they don't have enough skilled people to go into those jobs. So we have to have a skilled workforce to have a vibrant economy. So we can't cut the budget in that respect. We have to spend it smartly, but we can't cut it.
You know, state legislatures or state governments are always challenged by when they have to make cuts to programs. So there's only so many things that they can cut. There's education, corrections, transportation. I mean, these are, and a few other things, but there's only so many areas from where they can cut.
There is.
And when faced with that, where do you see that these cuts may have to come from?
Well, of course, tax credits is something I think is a priority that we'll be looking at. You want the tax credit to have a good ROI, or return on equity. You want to be able to get a good investment for your dollar. If you're spending $1 on a program but you're only getting a 30-cent return, that's not good. If you're spending $1 on a program and getting a $3 return, that's not too bad. But if we can spend $1 and get a $7 or $8 return, that's really good. Right now we have over 60 tax credits, and I think just this past year maybe over $600 million was claimed against those tax credits, and that goes against the budget. So we have to find ways to eliminate some of the programs that are duplicative or not needed any longer, and make sure the ones that we do allow to go on as a tax credit that are very good for the economy and lead to a lot of job growth. I know I sit on economic development, and as people present plans for economic development, you want to leave the room and go invest whatever they're talking about, because it sounds like the best deal ever. But as you do an audit of it, you find out that they said they were going to create about 45,000 or more jobs, and when you audit, you find out they only had about 7,000 jobs created.
Wayne Wallingford is a member of the Missouri House of Representatives, and he will join the Missouri Senate in the next legislative session. Wayne Wallingford, thank you so much for coming by to talk with us today.
You're welcome. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you.
Coming up, we'll talk with SEMA Port Authority's Dan Overby. That's just ahead on Cape Chronicle.